jste účastníky fora rozhodně není neznámou osobou, protože už několik let po sobě k nám přijíždí, aby nám řekla novinky z oblasti vyhledávání. Karen má vlastní společnost MBA Information Services, je informační konzultantkou a často přednáší, má svůj zajímavý blog, takže sleduje informace a vždy přijde s velkými novinkami. A dnes bych řekl, že docela dobře naváže i na to, co nám říkala v první přednášce Kateřina Hronová. Zaměří se trochu více na Google a Bing v oblasti personalizace, vyhledávání v sociálních sítích a semantickém webu, takže myslím, že už je Karen připravená a nebudu to déle zdržovat. Karen, please, for is yours.
Very much. Katerina's presentation absolutely fascinating first thing this morning. I was sitting there in front trying to follow some of the research she was doing. If you saw me shaking my head, it was not that I disagreed with Katerina, it was because I was getting completely different results from her. Am I surprised? No. Customization, localization, semantic search is all normal now in search engines, whether it's Bing, Google, or anything else. If you were here last year, you might have heard Chris Sherman's excellent report on semantic search. And I looked up my Twitter record and I tweeted that he said, semantic search is going to be folded into existing technologies. Google is going to get smarter. The first bit is definitely right. There is no magic button so that you can turn off or turn on semantic search. The second part, Google is going to get smarter. I will leave you to decide that. So a warning, first of all, anything that you see on these screenshots may be totally different, actually will be totally different from what you see on your machines. And this is a major problem for those who conduct serious research or who are advising others on how to do that research, because we can no longer guarantee what type of search strategy will give the desired results. And I'm going to take you through some real-life examples of this. All of the search engines do customization, localization, semantic search. I have chosen Google for many of my examples because it is the most open about what it does. Now, a lot of people may dispute that, but it does explain what is going behind many of the new developments. It experiments the most, and that can be a problem because not all of those experiments are documented. And that can present most of the problems when searching. Bing does very much the same thing, but I have found that Bing tends to reserve all of its major advances to the US version. In fact, when I looked last week, I could not actually find a Czech version of Bing. It's decided to be run on about half of Europe, it seems. Google, on the other hand, does roll out most of these new features across the world. Personalization, I don't think we're very surprised when we go into Amazon and see recommendations for us based on previous purchases. I actually quite like that. I also like the way Ocado, which is where I go to shop online for groceries, when I go to the checkout, it looks at my previous shopping history and asks me if I've forgotten something. Have I run out of something? Perhaps what is not so appealing is targeted advertising. I was going to Trondheim last year, so I went off and searched for hotels in Trondheim. For the next 3 days, almost every news site that I went to, every search engine I went into, every social media site I went into showed me adverts for hotels in Trondheim. The network advertising agencies follow your searches, they follow the pages that you click on and adjust the advertising accordingly. The search engines are now doing it though. And Google in particular now will keep a web history automatically of everything that you do when you're searching and surfing the web. I've done a list there of some of the criteria that the search engines use to personalise your searches. I won't go through all of them, but in some of the examples to highlight some of these issues. Country version is been around for a long time, location based on GPS, that was covered earlier. Increasingly though, are you using a desktop PC, a laptop, or a mobile device? The search engines are going to change the way they present the results depending on the device you're using. More worryingly is that Google, in particular, is starting to ignore what you are telling it to do and does its own thing. And it can be very difficult to bring Google to heel. And as I said a moment ago, this does present difficulties if we are trying to explain to users how they can get the results that they need. And I found very interesting one of the presentations on Tuesday talking about some case studies of students and how they searched and at what point they gave up. It is very difficult to get through to end users that they really do need to use not just single words or 2 or 3 words. You need to start using the advanced search capabilities. So how do they work? They work very simply when they started out. Google in particular had a very simple key feature, which was its page rank. So where a page appeared in the results depended very much on the number of pages linking in, the authority of the pages linking in. But over the years, new search features are added, new sorting algorithms are added, what they call signals. And this becomes more and more complex. So instead of nice layered sets of algorithms, they intertwine. So you end up with what in coding terms looks like a pile of spaghetti. Most of the time everything works fine, but pull on a little bit of spaghetti at the bottom, it all ends on the floor. Carry out a straightforward search and you get the most bizarre results. It has got so bad that Bing and Google now have whitelists of authoritative sites that they have to artificially rank higher so that they appear in your results. And this was, I think, about 2 months ago when they actually admitted for the first time that they were doing this. How many signals do they have? Bing says 1,000. Google says 10,000. So it has 200 criteria for searching and ranking, and each of those has at least 50 variations. The number is immaterial because if you are getting useless results, there's no good to you at all. So we really have ended up, I think now, with what I call spaghetti algorithms, a bit like spaghetti programming. Where are you? We're all used to going to our nearest country version of Google, putting google.com. I'm here in Prague. Google sees that I'm using the hotel Wi-Fi, which is in Prague. It sends me to Google in the Czech Republic. But we're now seeing even more localization. It tries to work out the town or city I'm based in. And it will do that on your mobile as well, more easily on your mobile because you've probably got GPS location set up on it. Now this can be very useful because I want to find restaurants in Prague. I don't have to put in location restaurants Prague. I just start typing in restaurants and up come the perfect set of results. What is not so helpful is if I'm looking for, say, the distribution of McDonald's restaurants across the whole of the Czech Republic. It is very difficult to get out of the localization for certain types of research. But if you are wanting to do research on a country or an industry, person, company that's based in a country or a specific town, you can choose to go to that country version. You can choose to set your location to that town, and that can be helpful. Translated pages. This is quite a new search feature. A lot of the local contents that you get when you go into a country version of Google or Bing will be in the language of that country. Google now has an option in its side menu called Translated Foreign Pages. And here, for example, we went to the zoo on Monday, and the female hippopotamus Marushka is about to give birth. And we wanted to keep up with the news on this imminent birth. English newspapers are hardly likely to pick up any press releases from Prague Zoo on this, but perhaps we'll see something in the Czech news. So we'll go down to Translated Foreign Pages, and interestingly, again, Google has spotted I'm in Prague, but also that my strategy has got Prague in it, so perhaps it would make sense if it then automatically offered me pages in Czech. So it translates my search into Czech, runs it, and then translates the pages back into English for me. Now that would work fine if it really was Prague, Czech Republic, but there are 2 Pragues in the United States that have zoos. I have somehow got to stop it doing that. And it is very, very difficult. The type of search that you do can influence the way that the results are selected and displayed. If you're looking for a person, or what Google thinks is a person, it will pull up mostly social media profiles. For example, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. All my blogger profiles there as well. What's in the news? I should have updated this and put one up on the Icelandic volcano. But if it is a story that is in the headlines, Google will pull up specialist sites that may be of interest to people. So the Japan earthquake, we have the tsunami warning center at the top there, the Japanese quake person. A very new one, if you're using google.com, put in the name of the food, and it will come up with a recipe page. So I've searched on pancakes, and I can now choose the ingredients, cooking time, number of calories, and it will change the results accordingly. Now, a year ago, pancakes would have brought up pages covering the origins of pancakes, history of pancakes, as well as recipes. And I would have just put in pancakes. So now you have to think more precise searching. Pancakes, origin or history, for example. Lazy searching is out. You have to be very specific. If it's a technical or scientific query, though, Google starts to promote Google Scholar. I have some very strong opinions on Google Scholar, some of which were echoed earlier this week. I'm not going to go into those now, although I will give an example of the problem there as well. Right, Google is trying to be really clever now. We had a beer festival in my hometown of Reading, and I was interested in a beer called Jewish Mild. That's the picture of it there. So I Googled it. Number 1 in the results, you could say Google's what it wants. It's the brewery that makes Jewish Mild. However, for the rest, it's just decided that this was a typing error. H and J are next to one another on the keyboard, and it's got the Jewish Mild. There is no did you mean or search instead for, it's just done it. However, 2 days later, I've been researching more beers at the festival. Google has kept a web history, and now it is starting to come up with more beers in the search results than Jewish Mild, but it is still doing it. So, from the start, you're almost being forced to use plus signs before terms or quote marks around phrases to get what you want. But that doesn't always work. A very quick one on Google Scholar, trying to be clever. Many thanks to Evan Flute and Sarah Batts for these examples. through the one on the left there. Query was exploration of the known oil fields in the North Sea. Interestingly, if you go into Google standard web search, you get an exact match. Go into Google Scholar, there's no did you mean or searching instead for. It picks up papers by the author Horn. Forgets about yawn, uses Horn. Again, the keys are close to one another, but it's not just assuming a typing error. There is an author called Horn who researches deep sea oil field exploration in the North Sea. But the interesting bit is, if you change the language of the interface, this is not the language of the pages or translated pages, you change the option for the language in which the menus and the Google interface is displayed. In this case, to Norwegian, we've got an exact match. Change it to Swedish, we're back to Horn norm. And I've given you some more examples on the other side as well of what happens. That may not work now, it may be a completely different search that will give up the results you cannot predict. Social media are excellent coverage of this in the first presentation, but if you are now logged into a Google account, Google will give priority to your social media connections in a search. And the only way to stop that is to log out of your account. This is nothing to do with the social option in that sidebar. You are logged in, Google will try and identify who your connections are, and that could be from Google Mail, from Google Reader, from Buzz, or any social network that you have told Google you are linked to. And not only that, it will search the connections of your connections. So you may not want that information in there, but Google's going to give it to you anyway. If you want to see who's in your social circle, I've given you the address there. Just log into your account, go to Social Circle, and see what's being included. An experimental development at the moment is the +1 button, which is for you to approve, not exactly favourite, but to say, this page I really like, I want you, Google, to give it more prominence in future searches. You also now have the option to block sites from searches. Now that might not have reached your version of Google yet. It's certainly now in the .com and the .co.uk version. Now initially they were saying this will only be for you. That could be just for your account. 2 weeks ago they said they are going to use these signals universally. Now I'm not happy with that, because what I think is an awful site may be brilliant for someone else. What I think is a really good site may be totally rubbish for other people. I want to keep those personalizations private, and Google is not going to let them. So what can you do to advise users? Do look very carefully at what Google is giving you. See what it's trying to do with your search. Look at the highlighted, the emboldened terms in some interest. Google is assuming automatic typos, it's searching for variations and synonyms without telling you. Try the plus signs, try the double quote marks, but it won't always work. But changing the order of your terms can actually radically alter the results. Repeat one of your terms. That can change the results. Include advanced search commands. As soon as you use something like file type, for example, file type :PDF for a research paper, Google just gives up trying to be clever and lets you get on with it. You could enable or disable web history. I have to leave it to you to decide if that's going to be useful to you. Clear cookies, empty the web cache, might or might not be useful to you, or use something completely different. use your own local Sémantické search engine, or a structured database. Now I'm going to finish off with a run-through of an experiment that Google did in February, which illustrates the horror that can be set in this scenario. I have to thank Arthur Weiss and Susanna Winter for their help with this search. I was walking along the River Thames with some friends, and we saw two coots on the river fighting, or so we thought. One of my friends said, no, I'm sure this is normal coot mating behaviour. Coots are small water birds, about that size. Lions are big, huge, furry animals liable to eat you if you cross their path. Anyway, we decided to do a search on Google, showing results for lions mating behaviour. We had no idea how we got from coots to lions. It shows search instead for coots mating behaviour. So if you click on that, did you mean lions mating behaviour? Google's not going to give up that easily. Put a plus before coots, it will come up with plus lions mating behaviour. Put double quote marks around the search. Lions mating behaviour. Is it all coots? No. Coots feeding behaviour gives us an exact match. This is edited highlights, by the way. We spent 2 days working on this. Change the order of the terms. Mating behaviour, coots, exact match. Hooray! Coots mating behaviour. Repeat the term. Exact match. Do a combination. Coots mating behaviour, coots. Did you mean lions mating behaviour, coots? At this point we decided, get rid of the lions, minus the lions, we've had enough of lions. So minus lions, coots mating behaviour, minus lions. Did you mean cats mating behaviour, minus lions? Night dawns. What Google, you think, was doing was first of all assuming a typing error. So like coots, we actually really meant cats. And then did a synonym search on cats, so lions are big cats, and hence lions. But we don't know why coots feeding behaviour gave us the exact match. It could be something to do with some frequency algorithm. Or just getting algorithms. I don't know. I don't think Google knows either. The good news is that after, I think about 8 days, Google reverted to normal, or at least normal for Google behaviour. And I don't think you can replicate that search at the moment. But beware, Google does conduct experiments of this nature. If you're suddenly getting very odd, strange results, just give up on it and use something else like Bing or specialist databases in your collection. Thank you.
Jsou nějaké otázky? V české jazyce? Já si to pár přečtu. Would be good in Google to have some option to not make a recommendation, personalization, something like that. Just make general search the same for everyone.
No, or you can. Yes. You can switch off web history. You can try and force it to do exact matches, but you can't switch off. Now, I don't want you to try these experiments. Sometimes you can, by logging out of your Google account, avoid the social media and the social circle. But Google just does what it wants. It's chasing what? Last year, $30 billion in revenue. This is all about trying to give you better results. And for most people, it works. But if you conducted serious research, I'm afraid it can really get in the way. But we're a minority. The big customer base are the consumers, the people who are searching on their mobile phones, who are looking for restaurants and so on. And they're the ones who will click on the adverts, who want a very quick, very simple search without keying into many terms. So
maybe Google doesn't know that there are information specialists, so maybe we should ask Google to switch off everything.
What we always do is, if we get a problem like this, we fill in the contact forms. They may well ignore them, but I think the more people that do report these incidents, I think the better. They will take notice of it.
Thank you, Karen.